Hey guys, and welcome back to Z3 Cubing. Today I'm going to make a fully functional 3x3 Rubik's Cube using nothing but Legos. This is a Lego 3x3 that I made way back in 2014 in one of the first videos on my channel. I've already talked a lot about it, but it's a fun little modification that I really enjoy. And this is a Lego 4x4 that I made earlier this year in a video that you should go check out if you haven't already. It also looks pretty cool, but it's made out of an old sanded down Rubik's brand, so it doesn't turn very well. But what both these Lego cubes have in common is that on the inside, they're really just normal Rubik's cubes, with Legos glued onto the outside. They might as well have looked something like this if I hadn't chose cubes that perfectly matched the size of the Legos. As you can see on the inside, it just looks like a normal 3x3. And that's the problem. The mechanism of a Rubik's Cube is so complex that you kind of have to do it this way, with pre-made cube parts and Legos just glued onto the outside. There's no way that you could actually make a fully functional Rubik's Cube using nothing but Legos, right? And yeah, that's exactly what I've thought for years now. Of course, there are lots of little tiny Lego pieces out there, but surely nothing intricate enough to recreate the complexities of an entire Rubik's Cube mechanism. Even if you did find enough pieces that were the right shapes, surely the result would be like 5 times the size of a normal cube. Well, that's what I thought until a few months ago, when I got an email from a YouTuber named PuzzLego. He makes videos about, well, puzzles and Legos, and apparently this problem of making a fully functional Lego cube is exactly what he was working on. In fact, he had just finished his second version of a fully functional Rubik's Cube, normal sized, made out of nothing but unmodified official Lego pieces. Exactly what I've always been wondering if it were possible. Not only that, but he also made a full video tutorial on exactly how to make it, which I'll have linked below. Needless to say, as a cuber and fan of Legos myself, I simply couldn't resist the opportunity to create my own 100% Lego Rubik's Cube, as expensive and impractical as it may be. So, I bought some Lego. After going through his video and making sure I knew exactly how many of each piece I would need to make one, I went ahead and ordered more than enough of all of them. Now, I really don't recommend you all go out and try and make one of these, especially once you see the result. Let's just say that the turning is much less impressive than your average speed cube. But if you are really crazy enough to try, just know that you can't use Lego's official website, Pick a Brick, to buy these parts. You're gonna have to get some of the more obscure ones from a third-party seller on a site like Bricklink is what I used. So, why don't we go ahead and open these all up, and I'll go ahead and find all the parts I need to make an example of each type of Rubik's Cube piece. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, this should be our entire core, this should be one edge piece, of which we're going to be making 12, and this should be one corner piece, of which we need 8. So to make the core, we start off by making 6 pieces that look something like this, and push those in there. There we go, now we have 6 of them, and it's hard to see, but these actually rotate in place, so these are going to be our center stocks. So this is our core right here, and basically we're going to put one of these on each side of our core. And to get the final 2, we have this extra little rod here that goes right through the center, like that. And now we can stick the remaining 2 on, like that. And we'll have to do some adjustments later to make sure these are all the exact right distance from the center, but for now they're all able to spin like that. So what we can do now is put a black 2x2 plate on each side, and then the appropriate colored plate for that side on top. And there we go, the core is finished just like that. Next up, the edge piece should be pretty simple. We're going to start by putting these 1x2 plates on the bottom of both of these colored plates, just like that. Next, this special 1x1 brick connects the 2 of them together, kind of like this. And then we add these 2 extra little pieces on, kind of like this, to be those little wings that stick out of the edges and hold on to the core. Okay, and finally we have the corners, which are a little bit more complicated. We put the colored plates onto the black plates like this, and then connect the 3 of them together using one of these special bricks. There we go. And finally we take a little 1x1 plate and put it right here. Then we take whatever this thing is and put it right there. And then one more of these special 1x1 bricks right here. And then 3 of these little circular tiles on each of the 3 sides that stick into the mechanism, like this. You can now sort of see the resemblance to a normal Rubik's Cube corner, and if we go ahead and try it out with the core, we can see that an edge piece sticks in there barely just like that, and then the corner can fit in next to it just like this. So not the most substantial mechanism in the world, as you can see, but theoretically in the end, it should work. So let's go ahead and start the time lapse. Alright, after a lot more attempts than I was expecting, I think I finally got the core to a decent tension, and I now have the cube almost completely assembled. So let's put those last 2 corner pieces and the last edge piece in, and now we can very carefully pick it up and we have our fully assembled Lego Rubik's Cube. This thing is just incredible, and honestly, it's a lot more fragile feeling than even I expected. This thing is really stretching the limit of what it means to be a fully functional Rubik's Cube. It feels like it's just barely holding itself together when it's in a cubic state like this, and while it theoretically has the degrees of freedom to be able to do any single turn, I mean, I think it's gonna basically fall apart when you try and turn it. So let's go ahead and try and do our first turns. An edge piece has already popped out in the back there. That's not even the side I'm trying to turn. Maybe it'll help if we set it down on the table. Okay, so now what we gotta do is basically hold this entire top layer into place while turning the other layer underneath it. So we're at about 45 degrees. Oh no, we got an edge piece pop. That's okay, we can go ahead and put that right back in. And we have now successfully done one turn. Okay, how about a second turn? I'm wondering if it might be more effective to maybe just hold on to the edges, because it seems like those are what have been popping out, and they seem to hold on to the corner pieces pretty well, so maybe we don't have to. And we're most of the way there, but something is caught in the back, and one corner piece popped out. I think that's actually pretty good though. Okay, so I just double checked Puzzlego's video, and it seems like he's mostly leaving the cube on the table, like I was, but he's also turning it from the bottom layer down here. So maybe that'll be more effective if we just kind of hold the top of the cube while turning the bottom. And oh yeah, that seems like it's gonna work a little bit better until everything falls apart. That's okay, we can pop the edge piece back in. Okay, we had at least one piece on that layer that didn't pop as we were trying to turn it, so I guess that's good. Let's go ahead and try again. I think the technique is we actually have to hold the bottom layer together with most of our fingers while just barely touching the top of the cube like this. And there we go. I feel a few pops, but oh, actually, no, nothing popped. That was incredible. Okay, so I think I figured out the technique. It's gonna feel like every single piece is about to pop out of the cube until the moment that you finish the turn. So your job is just to hold all those pieces together while the puzzle is turning. So here we go. And okay, we got one pop in the back, but otherwise a pretty successful turn. And now let's attempt one more turn right there. I bet you could 3D print some sort of like ring that goes around the entire puzzle as you're turning it that kind of like holds everything together. But for the time being, you just kind of have to use your fingers. And there we go. I did it again. No pops. That was amazing. Okay, so I'm getting the hang of it. We are now halfway through a checkerboard pattern. I'm going to move on to this opposite side now. But yeah, the movement is very, very tricky, although still technically possible. I think I'm kind of getting the hang of it, but yeah. Eventually we will finish this checkerboard pattern. I really would have liked to finish this video off by doing an entire solve, but that would have taken way too long, like hours, and that's if the cube doesn't explode along the way and I lose my progress. Here we go, we're in the final stretch, just 2 more turns to finish the checkerboard. I gotta say, when I made my 100% paper Rubik's Cube, I was pretty surprised at just how horribly it turned. It took me, a couple minutes to do a checkerboard pattern, but I was really not expecting that cube to be outdone by some Legos. Not only is it ridiculously catchy, not only does it take 20 minutes to do a simple checkerboard pattern, but it also does everything it possibly can to try and fall apart in your hands at every possible moment. Like, look at this. 4 edge pieces popped out right there. Okay, now the cube is falling apart. Okay. Yeah, let's just pretend that turn went fine because I'd rather not spend another 5 minutes trying it over and over again. Anyway, we can now flip the cube over and do our final turn. This is going to be a bit of a pain. Let's try it. First try, and close enough. There we go. Anyway, so if I haven't yet convinced you not to make one of these, well, I guess you're just insane like me. Have fun. But for the rest of you, I hope you now believe what I said earlier in the video. This thing is not quite up to flagship 3x3 quality turning. And after fixing 3 or 4 little pops there, I think our checkerboard pattern is now complete. Oh no, we lost a centerpiece. Okay, that's a big problem. Yeah. Well, I guess at this point we might as well just reassemble it into the checkerboard pattern. I mean, we basically got all the way there anyway. And after that, I guess I'll just leave it that way forever. And there we go, like nothing ever happened. Anyway, yeah, if you guys haven't already, definitely go check out Puzzlego's video on the original fully Lego Rubik's Cube. He's the one who created this design, and even though it does kind of fall apart a lot, it is pretty genius fitting that all inside of here. In fact, I think he has his tensions and turning style a lot more fine-tuned than I do, because he's able to do a full checkerboard pattern in about 30 seconds uncut without any pops or anything. I think mine has actually been loosening itself as I've been turning, which is why it's popping so much now, so that's kind of annoying. Also, one thing that he does differently is he actually uses those flat 2x2 like tiles instead of using these 2x2 plates with the studs sticking out. That probably means that it's able to sit flatter on the table, which probably helps with the turning, but I chose this design because it looks more like a true Lego cube to me. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and struggle with this for any longer, so I really hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.